Have you ever caught yourself thinking, maybe this is just not working? You've been putting the effort, but the results you were looking for are not there yet. And you start wondering, should I change my approach? Should I try something different? Should I just quit, let this go? Now, before you make that decision, I want to offer you a different question that has changed how I look at almost every goal I've worked on. A few years ago, when I decided to change my health, I went into a full autoimmune protocol, and I knew that it was not going to happen overnight. It's a big goal, and changes take time. The way I did at that time, and I didn't know the big effect that was going to have, is I track everything. I created an Excel spreadsheet, and I wrote there all my meals and all my symptoms, and I tracked that every single day. I wanted to know if what I was actually doing was actually giving me any results. Now, looking back, I can see that was really powerful because it gave me something that our memory cannot. It gave me evidence. Our brains love immediate feedback. So when the outcome takes weeks or takes months or years, it's very easy to forget the effort that we invested so far. So we remember today's frustration much more easily than the last 20 days of all the effort that we've been investing in. That's a dangerous place to make the decision. 10 years later, when I started strength training, it was something similar. I already knew that looking at the weight in my scale, it was not going to give me the information I needed, not the whole story. So I paid attention to something else. I did something similar. I started tracking as well. So I was writing down how many repetitions and the weight I was lifting. Could I have more energy? I was getting stronger? And that helped me see the progress. But the weight on the scale didn't move. My strength did. If I had only looked at the weight on the scale, I would have missed most of the progress that I was making. Now, this is not about health. I see the same thing happening for every meaningful goal, whether it's your business or your writing or your relationships. You measure the outcome, and we rarely measure the things that create that outcome. So we end up making decisions with incomplete evidence. We wonder, should we stop? When we don't have all the evidence, we are not looking at everything that we've been putting in and working on. So I want to give you 3 questions before you decide if you should move to something else. Look at the goal that you're trying to work on and that trying to accomplish. Okay, write down, what is the result you're hoping to create? Number 2, what actions actually create that result? And number 3, what is the evidence that you could collect every week that's going to tell you those actions are happening? It's not about the final outcome, it's what actions are you taking towards that outcome. If your goal is health, like it was in my case, don't track your weight. Maybe you track your strength, or maybe you track your energy, or maybe you track your symptoms. If you're working on a business, maybe it's not the time to start tracking revenue yet. Maybe it's about how many conversations you have every week, how many relationships are you creating, how many leads are you bringing in. So the question is not, I am there yet. The question is, what evidence do I already have that I'm moving in the right direction? So we all reach moments where we wonder whether we should change direction. And sometimes that's the right decision. I'm not saying you should not pivot or you should not try something else or you should not quit. Sometimes that's the right decision. But before you take that decision, make sure you're not making it with incomplete evidence. Look at everything, not just the outcome, because progress leaves clues before it leaves results. And you have to learn to notice those clues. They might be exactly what gives you the confidence to continue, to keep going towards and actually achieving your outcome. So I love to know what you're working on and what's one goal you were thinking and you were actually measuring the outcome more than the progress. Let me know in the comments. Remember, before you change plans, ask yourself, do you have enough evidence to make that decision? Bye.